Hi, Kirsten. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm so happy to be here and so happy to connect with you and your audience. So excited for a great conversation.
Beautiful. Me too. And thank you so much for being here. Okay, let's just go to this one, go straight to the point. You see, oftentimes, Kirsten, I love to thank my guest for two main things. All right. Firstly, I want to thank you for investing in yourself. And I truly mean this, okay? You see, you are on this platform right now because you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person you are today. And oftentimes, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Kirsten, I was on that road one particular day and I walked past this mango tree and it didn't really catch my attention. You know why? Because it's got no fruits on it. No mangoes were on the tree as at that time. Then just recently, okay, I was on that same road. And you see, I then sighted the mango tree from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move closer, to take a good look. Then when I moved closer, Christine, I was wowed because this time around, the mango tree looks all beautiful and attractive. Why? Because it's got a lot of mangoes on it now. And I was so excited. I just couldn't take my eyes off it. It looks so beautiful. The point is, the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming who you are today, the end result of that action attracted me. And now, I just couldn't take my eyes off the things I was reading about you. And I got the urge to send you a message to, request that you be on the show. So thank you so very much, Kirsten, for improving yourself and becoming this amazing person. Thank you. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invitation. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing I can do about it. So thank you so very much. I truly appreciate that.
I'm so happy to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. So let's get started. You see, I am quite excited to have you on the show, Kirsten, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. You see, I believe in order to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful one, Kirsten, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance. I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. Now, the second reason why I'm excited to have Kristen on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Kristen, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. How to do this, how to do that. So these folks trust me for quality information. And when I came across your profile, I was excited about the things I was reading about you because I believe our conversation is not only going to be insightful, but also impactful. So for that reason, Kirsten, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We are just so curious. We want to know how you got here. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Kirsten, over to you.
Okay. So when I was very young, I was a gymnast. So I trained a lot. I was, worked out really hard all the time. And then when I was 19, I started having trouble walking and holding on to things. And ultimately, I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And that was really scary and shocking. And at that time, the medications that they were using for multiple sclerosis were very early and they hadn't done a lot of testing on them. And I just didn't feel good about taking the medication. So I started trying all kinds of alternative things to see if I could get myself healthier, and ultimately went to an acupuncturist. And the acupuncturist really explained the whole thing. He said, look, when you were born, your body was very strong and your disease was very weak. And he said, but then your whole life you were an athlete and you trained and trained and trained and trained. And he said, on the outside, you look very healthy, like Instagrammable, but on the inside, your organs, your cells, your tissues, your resources were all compromised. And that made your body weaker and your disease stronger. And finally, around 19 years old, your disease got stronger than your body. And then you started showing your disease. He goes, my job is to get your body stronger than your disease, and then hopefully you'll go into remission. And then I did. Took about a year. It wasn't fast. and then stayed in remission for almost 30 years. I've had, just since menopause, a few struggles, not too bad, but a few new things that I hadn't had previously. And that was so transformational for me. I ended up being one of the first reproductive acupuncturists in North America, and getting to hear. 5 years ago, I read a study that less than 3% of couples can afford fertility treatments. And in many countries, one in vitro fertilization cycle costs more than one whole year's salary for a family. And I thought it was expensive to come for acupuncture. You have to come a lot, and you take herbs and all this. And I was like, I'm part of that problem. We have people don't have access to good health, to healthy periods, and most importantly, to families. So I dedicated myself to a particular statement. In Chinese medicine, they say the good doctor treats the patient, the great doctor treats society, but the master will make herself obsolete. And so I set out on a journey to try to build an AI digital twin of myself so that I could help all women on the planet for, $10 or $15 a month, like something that people can afford. Because it uses AI, we can't make it free. I would have liked to have made it free, but because it uses so much AI that every time you touch the AI, it costs us stuff. So that's basically my intro. That's how I got to here. So that's what I've been working on, and we're just about to launch the iOS version of the app. So I'm really excited and proud and scared and anxious and all of it.
Amazing, Kirsten. You see, man, you just made me get more excited because you made use of one of my favorite words, which is help. Anytime I hear my guests mention that word, I feel really happy and glad. And I'm thankful for you, Kirsten. You see, you discovered the problem and you decided to be a solution. Many folks out there that have also heard of stories like that, who they take advantage of circumstances like that to extort people and create more problems. But you decided to be different and you created a solution. And you went after a particular insight from the Chinese and you applied it. That's amazing. I love that. I love that. And that's a good one. And that's a good one. And I feel like a lot of what you're doing is actually very important content and a very important aspect of life because many women are struggling in that particular part. And like you mentioned, it's so costly. It's really not really affordable for many folks. And you decided to make yours cheaper. And you see, I love the fact that it's got a value. Okay, because at times people tend to not value something that doesn't have a price. So I love the fact that there is a price attached to it. That's a good one. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so the very first question, all right? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hmm. And this is going to lead to you talking more about your invention. You mentioned the AI twinning and all. So can you talk to us about the new age of personalized fertility care? You got that?
Yes. So I think that in all of this applies to all of medicine, in my opinion. Typically in conventional medicine, we're looking for one problem that's a cause of the problem, and then we just try to fix that one problem. That's actually very hard to do. For example, say the person does not make enough progesterone to stay pregnant. So then the doctor's like, well, let's just give them progesterone. That only actually increases their chances of getting pregnant by about 5%. It's very low. Instead, what we borrowed from the Chinese for what we built for conceivable was, in Chinese medicine, we're never treating infertility or any problem, MS, cancer. We don't really, cancer, don't use Chinese medicine for cancer, maybe to help with the symptoms, but any chronic problem. Instead of asthma, hypertension, diabetes, all of those things, Chinese medicine is never treating those conditions. It's very humanistic. It's treating the person. What is the total presentation of the person? So somebody who's not getting pregnant, there can be at least 50 small underlying factors that can really make it a lot harder to get pregnant that people don't know about. Like, for example, if your period isn't 28 to 32 days, the timing of when the egg is ready to get fertilized is off. But nobody tells anybody that. So if people have a very long or irregular cycle, what they do in Western medicine, they're like, we'll just force you to ovulate. But what it's not taking into consideration is there is a reason why this person is not ovulating. And that is related to what they're eating, how they're digesting, how they're stressing, how they're sleeping, the chemicals in their environment. And if we don't fix those things, then those problems are also going to persist in pregnancy and they're going to impact the health of your baby. We know from the clinical data that the health of the mom and the dad at the time of conception is a predictor of the health of the offspring. So why would we not look at the whole picture? Why is this person not making enough progesterone? And usually they have a lot of other issues. They don't have enough blood to make a lining and so forth. So what we're trying to usher in, I mean, my goal is to win the Nobel Prize in medicine. One, because I'm an acupuncturist by training. And people always look at acupuncturists like, you're so cute. You're an acupuncturist. What did you go to school for 1 month or something? But it's not about ego. It's about, I really want to prove that we can completely transform the health of all women on the planet for almost nothing. For almost nothing. Like the smallest amount of money could transform the lives of all women on this planet. And that's what is interesting to me. And by doing so, it isn't that we're transforming. We're building technology. Like I always tell people, like our app is like me coming to live at your house. If I came to live at your house for the next month as a reproductive acupuncturist helping 10,000 women, first I'd sit down and said, let's have a cup of tea and talk. That's what we do in the app. She has a conversation with you, right? There's no clicking on buttons and things like that. And, she has a relationship with you. She figures out what's going on. She does therapy with you to help you cope with the stress. That's personalized medicine. It's scale and affordable.
Amazing. I love this stuff. Personalized medicine. I got that. So let us talk about AI for a moment. So how is AI and smart rings changing fertility forever? Can you talk more on that?
Yeah. So the first piece is, we use a smart ring. It's called the Halo. In most businesses, the wearable, the Apple Watch, the Aura Ring, the Ava Watch, there's all kinds of wearables, Fitbit. All of these things do one thing. They track data and then they tell you, they report that data to you. Oh, you got 1,000 steps. You got 2,000 calories. You got 1 hour of sleep. You're really stressed. And then you're like, okay, now what? And it might say, like my Apple Watch will say, take a breath. And I was like, okay, that's not going to do anything. And so what we're able to do is collect that data and collect the data that the user shares and then use artificial intelligence to understand it and to create highly personalized interventions to fix it. So on the back end of our app, there are about 50 what we call agents. They're individual AI workers, basically, and they have individual tasks. So one of them is the therapy. So she's trained in like cognitive behavioral therapy and compassion therapy, because when people are going through fertility, they're very stressed. When they're stressed, their cortisol goes high. When their cortisol goes high, the progesterone goes low. So we want to have tools to help them to do that. So she interacts with the user, the person, the woman, just like a therapist. She'll say, hey, tell me what's going on today. And you can either use voice or you can text it, whatever you want. And so there's a chef. So she comes in, she's like, hi, I'm Casey, I'm your chef. I've looked at everything and now I'm going to start menu planning for this week. Is there anything else I need to know? Like, are you sick? Do you have COVID? What's going on? What's going on with your husband's sperm? And I'll make your menus for this week. If they need to lose weight, she'll calorie restrict for them. If they have like blood sugar issues, they get, high protein, fiber, and fat. So AI allows me to basically do everything for the user that they need to do to make it so much easier to improve what they're eating, manage their stress, and then understand how all of those signals are impacting their health, their period, and their fertility. Sorry, that's a long answer.
And thank you for taking your time to explain it. Because, oh man, I am wowed. I tell you. Some years back, things like this are not in existence. And many folks actually are still stuck in this issue of fertility. And I just hope they can just come across this podcast, you know, to benefit from what you're doing. And I'm just so curious right now. How did you come up with the idea of, Kirsten AI? Like, that's amazing. How did you come up with it?
I guess, I think that what the beginning of it was that when I read that study that only 3% of couples could afford fertility treatments because the people who came to my clinic were rich. It was actually very expensive to come to my clinic. And we were like, it was like the Ritz-Carlton of care. So, but I just thought, like, as long as you have to be employing acupuncturists, it's very hard to make acupuncture affordable, to get good people who can deliver it. And so, I just was like, I have to do something. I felt so much shame when I realized 97% of couples can't afford even me, probably. And so I just got really creative about, like, well, what are the things that I could do to help them? And I started, building, like, first started with a report that was called the Conceivable Report. And essentially they would fill out a quiz, and then I would read everything they would tell me, and then I would make them a report. And then they liked that. And then I started making a little video at the end. And then at the same time, I was sort of blowing up on TikTok a little bit. And I do a TikTok show every day, usually in the evening, but could be anytime. And that could have 1,000 to 5,000 people on the call every day. And I talked to my community, all these women who are struggling to get pregnant. I started getting insights about where they needed everyday support more. What were the most common questions? What do I eat? How do I know what to eat? Should I eat this? Should I not? Blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where it came. And when I had the first idea for this, like, I knew that I wanted to use AI to do it. But at that time, GPT had not come out yet. And, like, it probably would have cost $5 million to build Kirsten AI even 3 years ago. And now with GPT, it's made it a lot more affordable and a lot more straightforward to start pulling all the pieces together.
Amazing, I got that. What a smart woman you are. That's a good one. Okay. See, it has been a wonderful moment with you on the show, Christian. And I love this. One more question, all right? So,
Okay, sure.
yeah, what should people know about supplements for fertility?
Let's talk about any supplements. So when I first was starting this company, I did not want to have a supplement company. And because I think that people want to take a pill to fix their problems, and it's very rare that a pill will actually fix your problem. If you're trying to get pregnant, you want to take a high quality prenatal and a high quality fish oil, and be careful, because if the quality is low on fish oil, what happens is that if you think about the whole world, you can go to beautiful places and you buy fish to make your fish oil where it's real clean and beautiful. That fish is really expensive. But say you go somewhere that's really polluted and dirty, you can buy that fish that comes from that part of the ocean real cheap. And that's what happens when they make fish oil. Like, you can buy cheap fish or you can buy really clean fish. That fish oil, if it's good quality, it's really reducing inflammation. And if it's low quality, like grocery store quality, you're probably getting contaminated with heavy metals, pesticides, pollutants, and things like that, which will actually make you less fertile. So my main recommendation is take less supplements. Good quality supplements can be expensive. And I know that everybody's on a budget. And so picking a really good prenatal, at least 4 a day, like the pill dose should be 4 a day, so that you're getting all the correct ingredients, and does not use folic acid. Folic acid is the synthetic form of folate. Half of the population can't metabolize that. So we want a better quality one, in fish oil. And then there's a bunch of other supplements that can help some specific underlying issues related to fertility. But typically, most people can take prenatal, omega, and 1 or 2 to help with some of those problems. Like, if you don't have cervical discharge or if you have really scanty bleeding, you can use vitamin E for that. It's very helpful. High quality natural vitamin E, which you cannot get in the grocery store. Or if you have blood sugar issues, irregular periods, you can take inositol, and that's actually very affordable to help to stabilize blood sugar. So the biggest takeaway is that there are no supplements for fertility, because fertility isn't a deficiency. It's not like if I have vitamin D deficiency, I take vitamin D and it gets fixed. It's not how it works. Infertility is a reflection of how healthy you are. So the only way, one supplement cannot fix the whole world's fertility issue. So what we want to do is we want to be personalized. I want the people listening to this podcast, the takeaway is to know that you deserve to be cared for like a queen. Like, Chinese medicine evolved 3,000 years ago in the Qing dynasty in Chinese medicine. And you had an emperor who was expected to have a lot of sons. And that emperor had a lot of wives or consorts or whatever you want to call them. And they were expected to produce a lot of offspring. Well, to ensure that, each of them had what they called an imperial doctor. And you know what that was? A reproductive acupuncturist. So that reproductive acupuncturist came every day, felt her pulse, looked at her tongue, interviewed her, checked on her period, and prescribed what is she going to eat? Does she need some herbs this week? Her pulse is weird. She needs to de-stress. And that was basically the imperial doctor was Kirsten AI. Like what they did.
That amazing. Okay. You see, I would love to have you back on the show again. I'm very sure the audience too would want that. Would that be possible?
Yeah, absolutely. Just shoot me a
Because
message and we'll schedule
yeah,
time.
because
Send me
I
a
feel
fee.
like yeah, I feel like there are a lot of things that we're still gonna learn from you. Amazing. So that's okay for folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about all of those things we've been talking about. How can that be possible?
The best way is just to go to our website, conceivable.com, and there's like a little chat bot on it, and you can just send a message to my assistant. She'll get it to me. You can also follow me on TikTok. That's where most of my fertility work is. Your fertility expert on TikTok, and you'll see my face. There are a lot of people who are pirating my content, so it should have like 90 or more thousand. Otherwise, it's somebody else. There's all these psychics who are like pirating my content and then trying to sell my users fertility psychic readings. So please, you guys, sorry about that, but please be aware of that. Don't get scammed. If it was actually a real psychic, they wouldn't need to steal my stuff.
Terrible. Thank you for that. Thank you so very much, Kirsten. We truly appreciate it. So that's gonna be the end of the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.